What is the foundation of human being? The foundation of human being is not a state of self-other fusion, as previously thought, but a state of relationship. Contemporary research suggests that infants are aware and engaged in relating to their environment from the very beginning. Human being arises and develops within a matrix of empathic relationships. What is the role of empathy in the development of the self? Empathy is crucial for the development of a cohesive self. Thinkers like Winnicott and Kohut emphasize the importance of an empathic environment, particularly from caregivers, for a child to develop a healthy sense of self. This empathic connection provides a sense of being seen, heard, and understood, which is essential for the individual to thrive. What is the difference between the Jungian concepts of ego and self? In Jungian psychology, the ego refers to the conscious mind, the part of ourselves we are aware of. The self, however, is a broader concept encompassing both the conscious and unconscious aspects of the personality. It represents the totality of the individual and strives for wholeness. The ego is seen as arising from and guided by the self. What are unifying centers and how do they affect the I and self? Unifying centers, as described by Assagioli, are internal or external contexts that facilitate the connection between the I personal self and the self. These can be things like symbols, beliefs, values, relationships, or spiritual practices. Healthy unifying centers support the flow of being from self to I, while problematic ones can disrupt this connection, leading to a sense of non-being and psychological distress. What is the significance of disidentification in relation to human experience? Disidentification is the ability to detach from and observe different contents of consciousness without being completely absorbed by them. This includes thoughts, feelings, sensations, and even subpersonalities. Disidentification allows for greater freedom and choice in how we respond to our experiences. It allows us to see our anger, for example, without becoming anger itself, opening up the possibility of responding with compassion or understanding. How does the concept of will relate to the transcendent immanent nature of the I? The will, in this context, isn't about forceful control, but rather a graceful inner freedom to engage with the different aspects of the personality. The more we recognize our transcendent nature, our ability to observe and detach from any single experience, the more we can consciously choose how we respond, drawing upon our full range of inner resources. What is the trichotomous model of the human person? This model suggests that a human being is composed of three aspects: spirit, I, psyche, the realm of thoughts, feelings, and sensations, and soma, the physical body. The spirit or I is understood as being transcendent immanent within both the psyche and soma, meaning it is both distinct from and interconnected with these dimensions. This highlights the integrated nature of human experience. How does the understanding of the human spirit inform the approach to psychological healing? Recognizing the transcendent immanent nature of the I shifts the focus of healing from simply addressing symptoms to cultivating a deeper understanding of the self. By learning to disidentify from limiting thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, individuals can connect with their core sense of self, fostering greater wholeness, authenticity, and well-being. What is the primal wound in psychosynthesis? The primal wound refers to a disruption in the empathic mirroring relationship between the personal self, I, and the self. This connection to the self is essential for a sense of being, and any perceived break in this connection can feel like a threat of non-being, triggering primal anxiety. This disruption often occurs within early relationships, particularly with primary caregivers, who may not adequately reflect back the child's authentic self. How does the primal wound lead to a split personality? To cope with the unbearable threat of non-being, the personality splits into two sectors, the positive and the negative. This split serves as a defense mechanism, allowing the individual to maintain a connection to the external unifying center, for example, the caregiver, while avoiding the pain of their unempathic responses. The positive sector, also known as the higher unconscious, preserves idealized images of the self and the unifying center, representing a perfect, albeit unrealistic, I-self relationship. The negative sector, also known as the lower unconscious, holds the painful experiences of rejection, abandonment, and worthlessness, reflecting a negative I-self relationship. What are the characteristics of the lower unconscious? The lower unconscious harbors experiences associated with the threat of personal annihilation and the fear of non-being. This sector includes feelings of anxiety and disintegration, emptiness and hollowness, shame and guilt, isolation and abandonment, worthlessness and hopelessness, terror and dread. These negative experiences often manifest as intrusive thoughts, nightmares, and a pervasive sense of unease. What are the characteristics of the higher unconscious? The higher unconscious contains idealized experiences and qualities that represent a perfect, albeit often inaccessible, connection with the self. This sector includes transpersonal qualities like love, joy, peace, beauty, and creativity, peak experiences of unity, bliss, and interconnectedness, spiritual insights and mystical experiences. While seemingly positive, the higher unconscious can become a source of escapism and addiction, as individuals may seek refuge in idealized fantasies and avoid confronting the wounded aspects of themselves. How do the higher and lower unconscious manifest in daily life? The split between these two sectors significantly impacts daily life, often unconsciously shaping perceptions, behaviors, and relationships. This split can manifest as addictions and compulsions, driven by a desire to escape the pain of the lower unconscious while seeking the bliss of the higher unconscious, for example, seeking solace in substances, relationships, or achievements. Relationship patterns, repeating cycles of idealization and devaluation, fearing both engulfment and abandonment. Defense mechanisms, utilizing defenses like denial, projection, and rationalization to avoid confronting the wounded parts of the self. Spiritual bypassing, seeking spiritual experiences as a way to transcend or avoid dealing with emotional pain and unresolved trauma. Is it possible to heal the primal wound? Yes, healing the primal wound is possible through therapy, inner work, and conscious effort. This involves acknowledging and accepting the wound, recognizing the impact of early empathic failures and allowing yourself to grieve the losses, exploring the lower unconscious, safely confronting and processing the painful experiences and negative self-beliefs stored in this sector, integrating the higher unconscious, grounding the positive qualities and insights of the higher unconscious into everyday life and relationships, cultivating a compassionate relationship with oneself, offering self-love, acceptance, and forgiveness to all parts of the self, including the wounded parts. What is the role of the I-self relationship in healing? The I-self relationship is central to healing. As one develops a stronger connection with the self, they access a source of unconditional love, acceptance, and wisdom. This empowers the I to confront the pain of the lower unconscious and integrate the potential of the higher unconscious, ultimately fostering a more unified and authentic sense of self. What is the significance of understanding the primal wound? Understanding the primal wound and its impact on the personality provides valuable insight into the root causes of suffering and the dynamics that drive human behavior. By recognizing these patterns, individuals can embark on a path of healing, cultivate healthier relationships, and live a more conscious and fulfilling life. What are subpersonalities and how do they form? Subpersonalities are semi-autonomous parts of our personality that emerge due to trauma. They represent fragmented aspects of our core self and can manifest as different characters within us, each with its own set of behaviors, thoughts, and feelings. For instance, we might have an inner critic, a pleaser, or a wounded child influencing our actions and perceptions. According to psychosynthesis, these subpersonalities are often rooted in the primal split, a fundamental fragmentation in our sense of self that occurs in early childhood due to unmet needs or traumatic experiences. What is the difference between survival personality and authentic personality? Survival personality, or false self, develops as a defense mechanism in response to primal wounding. It's a way of adapting to a non-empathic environment by conforming to external demands and expectations, even at the expense of our true nature. Authentic personality, on the other hand, represents the full expression of our I-amness, our unique individuality in harmony with our deepest self. It flourishes when we have a secure connection to our core self and can freely express our genuine thoughts, feelings, and desires. What is the family trance, and how does it impact us? The family trance is a hypnotic state rooted in early family dynamics and upbringing. It reflects the unspoken rules, beliefs, and roles we internalize to survive and belong within our family system. This trance can limit our awareness and keep us stuck in patterns that no longer serve us, even if we're unaware of their influence. For example, we may unconsciously perpetuate unhealthy communication styles or cling to limiting beliefs about ourselves and the world. How does rage relate to primal wounding and survival personality? Rage, in this context, is a primal energy stemming from the violation of our core self-narcissistic injury. It's a powerful defense mechanism that allows us to dissociate from the pain of primal wounding and maintain a sense of control in the face of perceived threat. While anger is a healthy emotion, rage often manifests as destructive behaviors, addictions, or an overall negativity toward ourselves and others. It serves to protect the survival personality and prevent us from confronting the underlying pain of our unhealed wounds. What are the two dimensions of self-realization? Psychosynthesis identifies two interconnected dimensions of self-realization. Personal development. This involves cultivating a strong, well-defined sense of self, capable of navigating the world effectively and fulfilling one's unique potential. Transpersonal development. This dimension encompasses the expansion of consciousness beyond the individual ego, connecting with a sense of unity, meaning, and purpose beyond the personal self. Self-realization isn't limited to one dimension over the other. Both are essential for a fulfilling and meaningful life. Can you explain the concept of I and its relationship to self? I, in psychosynthesis, represents the core of our conscious awareness. It's the aspect of ourselves that observes, experiences, and chooses. Self, on the other hand, represents our deepest essence, the source of our being, which transcends the limitations of the ego. The I doesn't cease to exist during experiences of ego transcendence or unitive states. Rather, it's the I that has these experiences. Self-realization is about cultivating a conscious, ongoing relationship between our I and ourself. It's through this connection that we find purpose, meaning, and a deeper understanding of our place in the universe. What is the role of empathy in psychosynthesis therapy? Empathy in psychosynthesis therapy is paramount. It's about the therapist's ability to understand the client's experience from the inside out, meeting them with deep acceptance and respect. The therapist provides a safe and supportive space for the client to explore their inner world, facilitating a connection with their authentic self and healing the fragmentation caused by primal wounding. This empathic connection allows the client to feel seen, heard, and understood, fostering a sense of safety and trust essential for growth and transformation. How does healing the primal split contribute to personal growth? Healing the primal split is central to psychosynthesis. It involves bridging the divide between our conscious and unconscious, integrating fragmented parts of ourselves, and accessing the wholeness of who we are. This process allows us to move from a survival mode of being to a more authentic expression of self. As we heal, we gain access to greater energy, creativity, and a more fulfilling sense of purpose. We become more capable of forming healthier relationships, pursuing our passions, and living in greater alignment with our true nature.